Man, I love basketball. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and tonight I'm breaking down episodes 3 and 4 of the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. It's airing on ESPN, and in some countries it's on Netflix already, but if you missed anything, it's on ESPN Plus. I believe they're doing reruns on ESPN and ESPN2, but trust me, you guys, you're not going to want to miss it, especially episodes 3 and 4. Now, before I get into that and tell you what I absolutely loved about tonight's episodes, if this is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. Now, if you're wondering who that is, that's me, and I love talking all about movies. So if you love what you hear and what you see, go ahead, hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to tap on the notification bell right next to it. We're this close to 1,100 subscribers, and it's all because of you guys. I love you, I'm grateful for you, and if you missed it, I dropped my review for Extraction. It's in the link below in the description, and I talked recently about my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, because depending on when you're watching this, Avengers Endgame came out in theaters 1 year ago today, so it's so beautiful. I'm thankful for your guys' support, and now I'm ready to just talk about basketball, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Man, and I thought I was going through a little bit of a quarantine struggle with my hair. Oh boy. So yes, episode 3 opens with Dennis Rodman. It's very heavily centered around him and what he did with not only the Chicago Bulls, but also the Detroit Pistons. And let me tell you guys, this gentleman, well, not really a gentleman sometimes, but this player had a lot of drama behind him, and he was very aggressive, and I didn't know much about his past, so it was really interesting to see that they directed this more towards, okay, Dennis Rodman as a kid, Dennis Rodman as a teenager, high schooler, college player, and then into the pros. It was interesting to see his ascent to, being one of the best rebounders of all time, one of the most toughest defenders ever, and then how he kind of descended because of, unfortunately, he got into like drugs and alcohol and partying, and I didn't know he dated Madonna. But that's, I guess, something we'll talk about later on in this review. It's just so interesting to see how he was before Chicago and with Chicago. Yeah, he's wild. The biggest difference, though, from a critical standpoint, if I was going to critique episodes 3 and 4, is that both episodes do a great job at being more of a highlight reel. It deals more with basketball rather than more personal stories. You do find a little bit of that sprinkled in between 3 and 4, but I really do love how they focused more on the basketball fan rather than just past stories and experiences. So you're getting the best of both worlds with all 4 episodes so far. Something that still surprises me is that I'm watching ESPN and the F-bombs are crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of that, so you don't want to watch this with your kids, but trust me, this is something that me as a basketball fan, and I'm sure millions of basketball fans across the world can just fall in love with, because boy, man, this just spoke to me. Both of these episodes, I won't lie to you guys, are in my opinion much better than 1 and 2. Maybe because we've hit a certain stride, but I think it's just because of the consistency. Now, my biggest issue with episode 1 was that there wasn't much of a strong end or a strong middle. It was a strong start, but it didn't really end very well. And here with episodes 3 and 4, I was hooked. I was in a zone, and it almost didn't even feel like 2 hours. I wanted to see the rest of the series tonight. But yes, there's so much good pacing. The music is still on point in both episodes. And when we get to episode 4, I even have it in my notes. Phil Jackson's love with the Native American culture, I never knew even was a thing. And then he went to Puerto Rico and coached basketball, and those leagues were crazy. Oh, the mayor of one Puerto Rican town shot a referee in the knee. That's kind of crazy. But yes, it's so neat that they didn't only focus on Dennis Rodman and MJ, they also dove into Phil Jackson. Now, Scottie Pippen also was talked about a little bit, but it wasn't as heavy as it was in episode 2. I still think that the director's doing a great job at getting that trio, Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen, and then also talking about Phil Jackson. But what's really great about the end of episode 4 is that we learn about MJ growing as a player into not only the most dominant basketball player at that time, but also a great teammate. He was dishing to Paxson. He was being more, involved in the team aspect of the game. However, there was one quote that he had in the interview. He said, "There's no I in team, but there's an I in win." Yeah, that's a very Michael Jordan quote. Now, honestly, the biggest reason that I love both of these episodes more than 1 and 2 is because it taught me a lot about basketball back in the day in the Chicago Bulls of the 90s. I didn't know that the Detroit Pistons didn't want to shake hands, that Lambier and Isaiah Thomas, they all had beef with everybody, and that moment where MJ gets the tablet and is watching Isaiah Thomas explain why they didn't shake hands, golden television. But above all else, else. It's just this interpersonal connection that I'm starting to build with a team that I never really appreciated growing up, because I grew up a Miami Heat fan. I didn't really look back on the MJ Chicago Bulls. I knew they were a thing, but I started getting into basketball around the time that Michael Jordan also was on the Wizards, so it wasn't necessarily, well, at least I got more diehard around that time, so it wasn't necessarily for me a big deal, the 90s Bulls. I just knew they were dominant. But this documentary series is teaching me so much, and I really do believe that episodes 3 and 4 are more refined. All the moments are just quality TV, and I do really like that we're starting to get into, everything surrounding all the minutia around Michael Jordan, because it wasn't just the MJ show. If it wasn't for Pippen picking up Magic Johnson all the way down the court, you don't get that win over the Lakers. If it wasn't for Phil Jackson getting the team on board with the triangle offense, but also getting it to MJ's head and letting him know you have a team, use them too, because you can create, but you can also create for your teammates. If you haven't seen 3 and 4 yet, you need to go and watch it immediately, because listen, it is just some of the greatest television that I've watched in a very long time. I mean, as a sports fan, maybe that's why I hold it in such a high regard, but The Last Dance is something that is can't miss TV every Sunday night. I came away with no negatives here, to be completely honest with you. I mean, yes, the end of episode 4 is completely 110% setup for the next 2 episodes, but there's this awesome transition that the director does between stories where everything is seamless. You get amazing storytelling, and I'm not gonna lie, that archival footage is just chef's kiss. So yes, episodes 3 and 4 are much better than the first 2, and I really recommend this series because it is turning out to be legendary. Alrighty, you guys, well, there you have it. That's my quick recap of The Last Dance episodes 3 and 4. If you enjoyed everything you just heard and saw, let me know what you think in the comments. Go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. And also don't forget to like this video, share with all your friends, even if, yes, they're Detroit Pistons fans. And don't be afraid to go and check out Real James on social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's so fun over there, especially when we're tweeting during The Last Dance. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Alrighty, you guys, I'm gonna go get some sleep. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.